Okay. Hello, dear audience. It's a pleasure to host today's webinar. And we would like to welcome Idan Wiener, the founder and CEO of Israeli cybersec startup Illustria. Idan happens to be in Prague this week. So we took the chance and opportunity to invite him to our today's discussion. I would also like to welcome my co-moderator, Jarda Bayer, who everyone knows, who is active in the Czech startup ecosystem, partner at Havel & Partners, and leader of their startup and venture capital practice. So it's great to have you both here. And Idan, let me just shoot the first question. I mean, could you share a bit of your background and actually what brought you to the decision to become a startup founder? What was the motivation? And was this something what you wanted to do from your childhood, or basically what's your story? Thank you.
So hi everybody, thank you. I'm Idan. I'm originally from north of Israel. I was 7 years as a Naval Academy officer, ranked as captain, and it was an amazing period for me. And later on, I became a product manager, but I always wanted to be a founder, to create something from 0 to 1. I felt like in my stomach that this is my passion. It's not about money. It's only about people and creating business and product. And I always felt like when I worked in some companies, I want to do something on my own. So I had some other initiatives like before Illustria, maybe with the wrong partners or wrong products, or fell in love with the wrong market. But I felt like this is something I want to do from when I was a child. So I'm happy I have the chance to be here in Prague and do what I like, as we talked before.
Maybe again, as I mentioned, you are co-founder and CEO of Illustria, which actually tries to prevent companies and developers from vulnerabilities in open source packages. Tell us something about the evolution of this idea. Why you think that this is actually an issue? And again, I would say Israel is very known not only as a startup nation, but also as a cyber nation. So Israel has very strong cybersecurity companies, but it's also very competitive. So why you think that Illustria's solution is the best, and why did you actually decide to jump on the Illustria opportunity?
So great question. So I met Bogdan, my better half and partner, almost 3 years ago, and he was thinking about this idea while he was working in a big bank in Israel. And we met by a mutual friend, and I realized this is the next big thing because open source is everywhere. 90% of the code in every apps consists from open source. So it feels like it's a trust issue because open source, it's amazing ecosystem. It's free, everyone can use it, but developers, unfortunately, are not security experts, and they're focusing on writing the code and not doing security. So we wanted to help, and we realized there is a gap in the industry that we call it supply chain attacks. Basically, it's like going in and buy eggs in the farm. So if they're rotten, you understand it's too late. So this is how we like to find anomalies in open source. And we have a unique technology and we know exactly what we're doing. So it feels like we're on the right track or on the right ecosystem to help. And of course, the Israeli ecosystem, cybersecurity is not an easy place. But we feel like cybersecurity, you see with what's going on from the political perspective and also from the technological and developers perspective, it's going to be everywhere with the help of AI, ChatGPT. It's increased the environment, and I feel like there are new attacks on developers. So I feel like this is the right place to be.
Just Jardo, feel free to grab it whenever you feel you would like to make a comment or ask a question. I would say I mean, seed and pre-seed stage of the company is usually the toughest one, and it's actually when you lay the grounds of the company, and it's usually a roller coaster. We know something about it as a VC investor. So, how Illustria's first year and your role in particular look like during the first year of Illustria's operations? I mean, we have many startup founders and VCs on this show. So it would be great if you share some of your definite to-dos and what you think should be avoided. So share your perspective. And again, you can be as honest as possible, because I think that this is the best way how to learn.
For our talk, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, because it's interesting. And then I'm going to talk.
You mean my thoughts about seed pre-seed?
Yeah.
From my perspective, and this is also a question on you, who is dominantly investing in seed pre-seed? Because in the Czech Republic, it's the entire phase is dominated by mostly Czech VC investors, whereas the bigger rounds, I mean A, B, C, D, are done usually by VC from Western Europe / United States. So how does the situation in Israel look like? And if you have any sound VC investor already on in your cap table?
So we did our pre-seed round on April 22. I did a lot of mistakes. Okay, I can share a lot, but I think you need to find the right match in terms of the investor, which will trust the company to do what they're aiming. And looking back then, we just need to communicate better. Why is that team with that technology and the promise can do it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? So basically, I'm coming with a dream. I can talk nice, but the question how I can show the investor if I'm like the real thing, and if I'm coming with more traction and more things that I did, it's gonna be easier for the investor to invest. And this is something I realized maybe 1 year ago. Okay, and I mean that for almost 3 years. So if you're coming to investor with other investors, with paying customers, with the right to go to market, so it seems like you did some, work about it. If you're coming only with the promise, it's going to be the risk tolerance, it's going to be changed. I feel like our first investors is like our first customers. They believe in you, they believe in the product, they believe in the vision, something is connected there. My first investor is basically an Israeli American, but it was like in an instance, like I think in 72 hours, we got a term sheet. So something happened there. It's like, I always like to say, it's like a dating. So when you feel it's right, it's there. And when you know it's not going to be there, you get it. So I know today, because I meet a lot of investors, after like 4 or 5 minutes, I can sense if it's the right thing or not. It's people. So for a question, I mean, this is why it's so exciting, because if you talk with me like 3 years ago, I wouldn't believe that I would sit in Prague with my investors, also my mentors, and talk about it in a webinar, right? And this is amazing why this dream, it's a dream, because you meet amazing people, companies, investors, and they help each other. And it's a small ecosystem. You don't know what will be next, and it's also connected to karma, right? We talked about it, like, for I don't know, like 4 years ago, you meet someone, then you meet him later on. He's a CISO when we sell to CISO in a different company, and things are happening. It's funny because, like, on my previous job, I had a really nice connection with some person, and then I realized he's gonna in charge of the, let's say, buying our product in our latest customer. So everything is connected, and you need to understand. It's a bit long, but
and as you said, I mean, it's easier to sell to an investor if you not only have a great vision, but also if you have certain early results. And there's actually many things one need to organize in the first 6 months. I mean, it's actually a lot of around prioritization and probably brutal prioritization. So what do you think a seed company or pre-seed company should actually prioritize, where to actually invest most of your time? Because actually there are two resources. I would say it's money and it's time. So what's your let's say recipe? What worked for you?
Yeah, this is also a great question. Focusing on the right customers, take only 3 or 4 and communicate with them and work with them on the product. So you don't want to find a customer that, don't care about the product and only pays and that's it. You need to find someone who calls you at midnight and tell that your product is basically bad. This is what I like, because then you shape the product to early market fit and then you can go to growth mode. So find the right people that want to help to shape the dream together with you. And this is very interesting because I talk with a lot of potential customers, but then you realize that you ask them, okay, so will you pay on my product on Illustria? And then you understand they're not. Maybe they consider, maybe not considering that. So find the right, it's like finding your first investors. It's like your first customer, someone who believes in you and as a founder, in the product, in the vision, and wants to shape it together. And you need to share that vision. And this is also the question I ask my customers. I mean, why you chose Illustria? And they told me, listen, we can buy another products, off-the-shelf products, but we believe in the vision. We believe in you as founders. We like the approach. We like working with you. And I think those fundamentals are the same with investors and our first customers. And I'd like to hear also your thoughts about it.
Actually, going back to my question, were you trying to find an investor according to your segmentation or specialization, and so which role the investors play in your in your business? Did they help you in scaling up the products? That's first question, and the second question is. Are there investors in seed and pre-seed, usually Israeli, or are you also in this phase looking for, let's say, American investors, or Springtide is Czech, let's say, VC? So what is your standpoint on this?
Yeah, so I think that the best investor for, let's say, for a cybersecurity company is someone who comes from cybersecurity, because he has the connection, he knows what he's doing. He maybe did a lot of time. I'm a first timer to say, so this is my first time doing that. Humble, in a humble way. This can be the best, but sometimes in life we can't get the best, but we need to run faster and we need to continue developing the product. So it depends. This can be ideal for the crowd or people listening. If you do, I don't know, cybersecurity startup, you should bring investors for cybersecurity. Sometimes when you do pre-seed and you don't have enough, let's say, wins, you need to find the solutions or other alternatives. I met the folks here on CyberTech event. We met accidentally. We met in 2021. We kept the relationship and we are here. So we don't know what to expect. I think the promise on pre-seed and seed is only to building and have like, let's say, like a quiet mode to have lots of interaction with the customers. So I think the role of investor, I'm not an investor, so maybe it's a question for David, but investor, in my opinion, someone who you can consult with about things, what his approach, how he see things, but in general, it's just about to give like a, like a ground, like a healthy ground to help and monitor and see that we're in the right path to give more, to get more customers. Because this is our, I mean, startups in our round on every like pre-seed, need customers and funding. That's what they need. And it's the chicken or the egg, because you don't have enough customers, you can get the funding. If you have funding, you can grow the product. So it's combining, but customers are the most important things.
Actually, I would just add third ingredients. As you said, I need funding to get things to get things started. I need customer, otherwise my work actually does not have any sense. And then you need a team, which is initially very small, to actually develop and get the product. So, any thoughts about the team?
I would add the fourth ingredient.
and that is
A bit of luck.
Oh, yes, definitely. Luck is always very helpful. Nevertheless, again, like again, how lucky you were in terms of building up the core of the team. Again, it's like how to say, it's being said that mistakes can be made, but can be fixed quickly. So how it was in your case or in Illustria's case?
Wow. Okay. So I do a lot of mistakes. I think that the key question is to mistake fast. So in Illustria, I have like 15 decisions I have to take on a daily basis that can, make the difference. While you postpone those, let's say, decisions, things can happen. So I prefer to take the decisions and maybe mistake, but I prefer to learn from the mistakes. Now, I also consult with another founders who are more, let's say, more successful than I am, and but with more, let's say, experience, and then I can learn from their mistakes. So I think that the best thing is not to return on your mistakes and to learn from one time and then continue. It's about risk tolerance, and this is I'm talking about it everywhere with my investors, with my customers, with my founder, workers, employees. I need to take decisions without any information. I need some luck, and it's hard. So you need to take a lot of decisions from your stomach, to do like a process with your heart, stomach, mind, because you don't have enough, let's say, sometimes enough information to gather enough information. So usually 99% of my decisions are coming like from, okay, this is what I feel, this is what we should do. And I hope, it was a good thing. We can only measure that, retrospective. So
How do you recruit the people, and how do you motivate the people? Because in the Czech Republic, we have quite an issue with labor market, which is quite a long-term issue, I would say. So how is the situation in Israel? It's also a small, tiny country.
yeah, so let's say we can talk about what happened on 7 October, but in general, Israeli ecosystem with developers are pretty hectic in a good way. There are lots of companies out there in cybersecurity in particular. Salaries are very high. Demand is very high. Right now, we need you want to keep on your employees and developers in the company. It's not easy because in Illustria, everybody, do everything. No fancy, I'm not sitting in my office and I'm doing pensions, salaries, cleaning, whatever. I do everything, and that's what I feel everybody should do in our case, because we're like a kibbutz. It's like everyone do and no asking questions, just do it. And this is also very romantic, because when you work on a product update or a product feature, and you have to deliver it on a Thursday night, we find ourselves working on 2 a.m. every night. Now, this is also a direct impact on my private life. We can talk about it because people think it's only happiness and fun, but this is what we need to do. So it feels like a commando unit that everybody understand what needs to be done, and sometimes we need to do that, but also try to maybe have more fun on the way, because this is something that we need to improve. But I'm trying to give employees reasons to go to different directions, and also have like a direct impact on what they're doing, because there's no like classes or whatever or levels. I'm like, everybody do that. So it's also a good thing. But also they are thrown to the deep ocean, and you have to be skilled and understand what's the environment. So I think this is something that I need to explain to when every new employee is coming, what would be the environment. I mean, it's not the average company to start working with. And it's also related to risk, because nobody knows what will be next year. But these are the good things, also the bad things. Like, you're coming to Illustria, you do everything. You can find yourself working at midnight, but the impact of doing good and have like a direct impact to companies and save them from open source attacks. This is something that we did last night. So I mean, this is how and I don't think it's connected to salaries, to money, to I mean, it's like working on the next big thing. It's exactly.
Actually, I would also say that the difference between, let's say, employee of a startup and employee as a corporate is the fact that the employees in startups can see from the beginning until the end. So they see the whole process, they see the meaning of their products, whereas in corporates, you many times have no idea what the unit as such is doing. So I think it's really important to show this to your people, and probably that would be substantial part of the motivation.
Exactly. I think I heard that 1 year in startup is like 10 years in corporate, and it depends on the persona. I mean, some of the personas prefer to work on a corporate, and they have like a specific thing that they need to do. By the way, this was my fear, working in a corporate on a gray office as a VP, whatever, going on emails. I mean, this was I was afraid a bit on that. But this is me, and this is what I like, and this is my passion, and I'm talking from passion because I like building things and looking at my customers' eyes and improve it. And I don't think it's for everyone. And I think also the audience here need to understand that there is a gap between what they're seeing on the news and reading about exits and stuff. This is like the end, the end goal, and they don't hear about the endless night and the night you don't sleep and the problems you have and the 10 pivots you did and the 50,000 no's you got from customers, from investors. I mean, it took a while until they invested, right? But I'm here, so it's all about timing and if you're doing that not from those let's say things. I mean that you want to build something and you believe that. If you do it from the wrong things, you couldn't last more than 1-2 years.
Actually, you already mentioned that 7th of October. And again, this is like you saying that you already have like nice traction. Everything is like after 1.5 years, like everything fits in. And then you have this horrible thing out of the blue sky. How did this impact the operations of Illustria? And how you dealt with the situation? It must have been shock, like for many Israelis. And again, we were in Israel last time 3 weeks ago, so unexpected. What I like personally, the slogan, etc. Israeli tech always delivers, which says something about the Israeli mindset, endurance, resilience. So how it worked in your case? What were your first thoughts, and where you are now?
Yes. So first of all, I have friends. I mean, still there, families, so they're safe. But we have some also bad stories about it. So I hope everyone got safe, and then we can finish that. Most of 2023, I've been in New York, and on the 7th of October, I was waking in in New York, and I remember that day. I won't forget the day. Horrible day. 60% of our R&D was, went to reserve duties, and then you see that things are changing. So I think first thing is to adapt to the new situation, which now we need to prioritize all tasks. My CTO, my co-founder, also went to reserve duties, so I found myself as a CTO, but without a technical background, talking with problems with customers. So first of all, we communicate the information about what's happening, and our customers were very tolerant from the US perspective, but also Israel. Most of the Israeli ecosystem, I think 99%, went to reserve duties. So think about customers in Israel, they also in reserve duties. So it seems like all the market just went to the army. So it wasn't a problem, but I have some thought about it. First of all, in terms of resilience, but also find a different solutions or let's say what's happening in terms of the R&D if all your developers are on reserve duties. So find alternatives and find them fast, and prepare for not the same case, but cases that which you need to find your developers in reserve duties. So these things that I'm right now focusing on, that what will happen if another case like that will happen, and how we can act fast. But what we did in the last year is communicate information, prioritization of tasks, and focusing on the let's say the highest bugs, and postpone all of the, let's say, development in 2 quarters, because this is not an easy thing to do, but we need to be with a reality check and understand that we can meet the timeline, unfortunately, with R&D. Yeah, that's what we did.
Going from this set events to, let's say, global perspective, what is your expectation, or what is your strategy in relation to the US market? Israeli ecosystem is quite well known that you simply go to expand to the US as the second country. Maybe sometimes it's your even first country, first market where you go. So what is the role of the US, and what is your strategy in relation to US? And if you could make some advice to Czech startups who sometimes tend to forget that the US is in relation to technologies, is the market number one.
Yeah, so this is a great question. I mean, for every founder, if you want to check your product, go to the States. And usually I travel for a week, 10 days. And after I've been in RSA is like the biggest cybersecurity event in San Francisco, I realized I need to be there more. And then I went to 3 months. And this is amazing, because then you're physically there. The customers, the people you meet, they get that you're there, and you understand how they see things from their perspective. It's a different cycle than Israelis, okay? And you need to understand the environment and the culture. So this is advice for the founders, but also if I would know that before that, it's going to be easier for me. What's happened to last year, and that we close a customer in the States, and then I travel there, and then I realized I need to be there more. So for every Czech or Israeli, whatever, founders, startups, they want to check the technology, check how their product would be, just fly to the States, go to 2 months, 3 months, meet with many people as you can. And I think after 2 or 3 months, you understand, what's your position at, and because this is your target market. So basically it's a direct sale to CISO, chief security officers. Right now we're focusing on financial services, banks, insurance, fintech, because it's easier for us to sell there. They're deeply afraid from the problem. And eventually I think I move to the States, because this is the place to be for the CEO of the company. This is the best thing for the company. The question if the founders, can adapt, and if they can live there. this is a private question about your family, friends. I mean, where prefer to be. I mean, this is convenient to me, so I can do it, and I like to take risks. So
Okay, I mean, you mentioned the U.S. market, and this is the what we like about the Israeli startups. Like, say, set up a company, and at the end of year one, go to the United States, and at the end of the year two, make U.S. The company's headquarters. I know that you need to prioritize, but what are your thoughts about the European market? Are you open? I mean, you are now in Prague. I mean, what would be the ideal, let's say, profile of your European customer?
So I think the presence of investors in Europe also can help with finding customers. Right now, focusing on the States, but it depends about the success. So we talked about risk management. So I realized I need to focus on the States after we converted a customer for an SDR for Coldwich, like, hey, you want to buy Illustria? And then I saw like some traction. So all my eyes went to the States. So, you know, if I have some meetings this week, if we find a customer, I think it can help me get a decision to maybe focus on the Czech market as well. I think the ecosystem here is great. We're talking with few developers here to start working with employees from the Czech industry. And if I can see like a small success, I think it's going to help me take a decision maybe to focus on this local environment as well. For the size of Illustria, I think the best thing right now is focus on one market in terms of how to cope with problems and you know, support and stuff, because I want to get like the best support out there. When we do our next round and we grow and we have more employees, also I think can be relevant to the Europe market as well. But I mean, where I can find banks, insurtech, fintech, this is the right place. So this is a valid option as well.
Maybe basic question. Why don't you focus also on Europe? Why is the United States such a important market for Israeli startups?
It's a good question. I think this is why you have like big brothers and they do stuff and then you go after them. So first of all, I'm talking with a lot of other founders from the Israeli ecosystem, and I'm consulting with them. Seems like this is the right path, but as for your question, I'm not sure it's the right path. But we have a few customers in the States. So after I got my first, I realized I need to focus there. But the question is why, when I'm talking with do like cold calls to companies, don't do it in Europe. And I don't have a good answer for that. So seems like most of the investors in cybersecurity ecosystem are from the state. And this is why it's, you know, it helps to focus on that level. I mean, US Israeli, you know, a cybersecurity ecosystem is just, you know, it's never ending and lots of VCs out there. So it seems like it's the right fit, but maybe it's just the ecosystem I'm living at and I'm bringing that. I mean, that's the honest the answer.
Maybe I could offer another thought. What about openness of the corporates of your clients over there? Because if a startup founder would call to a corporate in Prague offering something, I don't know what would be the reaction on the other side. Maybe they would ask you for references, and then they would burden you in tons of papers, and the result would not arrive. So maybe how is your experience in negotiating and handling your customers in the US when you are small negligible startup, let's say.
So this is great. I mean, companies in the States know how to work with Israeli startups. We're not easy, okay? We're Israelis. We have good things and bad things. But this is the reason I'm here. I mean, I came here to meet those companies and see how it goes. I don't like to do things on like a short path, and I like to be creative, and that's the reason why we're here. I have a lot of founders out there which they don't think about this path, but this is why it's so amazing, because you don't have like boundaries. You can do whatever you feel like, and being creative. So I think we should just see how the conversation are going, because we have some on the agenda for the upcoming days. We have some customers out there, and I'd love to. I mean, it's not about where you're coming. It's about if you're getting a value on your solution, and if we can work together on that solutions.
I would now have we discussed a lot about, let's say, Illustria. Now, moving a bit up to, let's say, and look at the Israeli ecosystem. I mean, Israel is known as a startup nation with great infrastructure to help actually startups to grow. I would say, what particular features from, let's say, the startup support help Illustria? I mean, because we may have on with us also people who are like shaping the Czech local ecosystems. So what worked particularly well for Illustria? Was it any kind of government support? Was it some kind of free resources? Whatever. Anything that particularly strikes as something very helpful.
Yeah. So first of all, we got an innovation grant from Israel Authority that was very helpful. And this is great. The second is the founders out there. I mean, I think the best tip I can get is to find like 3 or 4 founders that you can talk with them, and they know exactly what you've been through because they did it already. So if they're more progressing than you can consult with them. And this is something I'm doing like on a weekly basis. And it's amazing. It's the best conversation out there because you're talking with someone who already knows what's going on, and just you can see in your eyes what you're thinking. And I have lots of conversation about customers, about investors, I mean, as founders, we're wearing a lot of hats out there, and it's not an easy thing. And so those conversations help me a lot in terms of, I mean, investors, they know exactly what they're doing, but some of them, maybe not like working with me on a hourly basis. So, and those founders out there, I think that like have some connection with them and they can help as well. So find 2, 3, 4 people out there that already did things, and you can talk with them about anything, how you feel. I mean, it's can only feel not about also customers, is how was your day, okay? Because when you go to your wife, I mean, she can support you, but she doesn't know how it's like to be a founder. Maybe some of them do, okay? But I mean, find the right people to consult with. I think this is the most thing that happened to me or helpful. Okay. And do a lot of sports. Okay, this is not what you asked, but I mean, I think to cope with the stress level, I have some nights every month that I'm not sleeping well, and I taught myself how to be better in that, doing a lot of sports, talking with people. When I have like very pressure, I'm like very stressed, I'm going to the beach for a few hours, like canceling all my meetings. Because sometimes it's too much. I mean, working 15, 16 hours a day, this is my baby, but I mean, you have some other problems can get through it. So mental health and save yourself and treat yourself in terms of food, in terms of stress level, sports is something that I'm, dedicating a lot of, and I think it's important.
Going back to Israeli venture ecosystem, because it's for us, this is extremely interesting. The way how you changed your economy, the way how startups and technology it simply plays a vital role. So, for instance, what's the role of Israeli universities in developing the ecosystem, university transfers and such things?
So I did an MBA, like masters in Tel Aviv University. I mean, I think I had some courses out there and meetups, but this is not what they're focusing at. I think like the most promising area would be from A200 and those technical unit out there that they're everywhere. Okay, I'm a Naval Academy officer. I'm not from A200, so I had a different track. I'm kidding, but I think that the universities in Israel, I'm doing some work on that, but not enough. It's more about the army developers and the guys from that, and this is where the really ecosystem is preparing. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm experiencing from my from a few years from now. I think we can do better. Okay, also from the Navy and also from the universities, because I see some of my friends in the ecosystem. Everybody want to go to work in a startup or be a founders, but eventually when you see it's not the grass is not green as and it looks. I mean, and it's not for everyone. So it's important also to say, to be honest and say, okay, this is not for me. So yeah, this is my honest answer.
Actually, I don't see here any questions coming, so I think that we will be sort of like gradually going to the end. I think that we have shared the details of Idan. Idan is going to stay in Prague until Wednesday afternoon. So if there are any thoughts and questions after this event, please feel free to ask them. And Idan will be still available. And if there are any interest for interesting meetings, this can be considered as well. So thank you. I don't know if Idan wants to say any final words. I will give him the chance.
So thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. It's amazing city and country to be here. Maybe it's used to come, but I would like to be here. Uh, and for founders out there, it's not easy. It's never going to be easy. You have to continue pushing. Also, not to founders, to IT guys, everyone, everybody's struggling. Well, it's not easy, and just focusing on what you do best and consult and push it. Okay, maybe seems easy, but it's not. It will work here. I mean, think about me. I'm getting every day between 50 to 100 no's from customers, from investors, from relationships, from resellers, partnership, and you need only to get one yes, and you need to keep on pushing and bring more to the funnel. So that's what I'm doing. I mean, I'm not the smartest. I'm just working hard. So if you want to consult or have any questions, I'd love to help. And thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.